Hi, so let's start today with going to the tab for the Journalism 494 class. And here we have some of the key resources that you'll likely need for your literature review, for your projects, and for the kinds of background research that you need to do your studies. We've listed up here news coverage. That's some of our news website. Probably in many cases you're not going to need that as much as you're going to need scholarly research and statistical research. So that's what we'll be spending our time on today. Plus we'll touch base on a couple of other services that could be helpful, that have other research on them. But let's start with the academic databases. The academic database that is most clearly related to your work is going to be Communication and Mass Media Complete. This is a scholarly database by and large that goes into issues and studies that affect communication and public relations and mass media. So if you click on that, I'll give you a brief walkthrough on what is involved to use it. So let's say that you are doing research on the digital divide, college students. And I mention this because I have and a colleague have been talking about starting such a study. And let's just start with that. I believe that you should start broadly and then narrow rather than narrowing down here before you get started, because that gives you a feeling for what is the breadth of what's out there. Okay, well, we don't find too much here on the digital divide and college students. One way that we might be able to increase this is by getting rid of the S on college students and putting an asterisk. And what this does is it says you'll take articles that mention college student as well as college students. So let's try that search and see if that expands things much. And it does not. So now we might think about what synonyms there are for either digital divide or college student. So one of the things we could do is do university student. Let's see if that changes things. Okay, that adds another 9 articles. And we might also look for other synonyms for the digital divide. So I'm going to put the digital divide in quotation marks. And what you do that when you want to keep something together specifically as a phrase, and that's a well-known phrase. Then I'm going to try internet access and see what comes up. When you do ors or ands, you should do them all in caps, so that the search engine can distinguish between the word or and the fact that you want to use it as a way of putting synonyms together. Not every database requires that, but to be on the safe side, it's a good thing to do. Well, that increased us to 147. So let's take a quick look through before we do any filtering. Internet morals and peer impact, probably not. Technology problems and student achievement gaps. There might be something, and that's a very recent study. Preferences in the choice of internet service provider, possibly. Now, one of the filters that you're going to want to put on when you're doing research for this class is you're going to want to limit this to scholarly peer-reviewed journals. And that knocked about 35 items off. You may also want to limit the publication date of the articles. I'm going to leave that alone because this looks like 2000 is the earliest date that any of the articles that are relevant to these search terms came up. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this subject thesaurus. Because what this does, and I'm going to click show more, what this does is it finds me topics that the articles are about rather than just articles that mention my terms, okay? So I'm going to try internet users, internet in education, internet users research, higher education, cell phones, maybe internet access, and I can keep looking here for anything that I think might be useful. And then I'm going to update my search. And now we have 80 articles that should be roughly at least about these search terms. Whether they're all going to address the digital divide or not is unclear. I'm not sure what typologies of prosumers among college students is, so I'm going to pop that open and take a look at the abstract. Most young people today are digital natives. The emergence of tools making it easy without having high digital school has led to the growth of prosumers. Again, I'm still not sure what a prosumer is. But what I can find here is that there's subject terms that this article is about. And I might find other terms that I want to put in my future searches. So that's one of the ways to make use of that. Now I'm going to go down to the one that talked about the digital divide here. Internet use and academic success. There was one on internet access. So I'm going to go up here and, so it's not on the first page here. Now I'm not finding it. So I'm going to try a little workaround here, a little hack, by getting rid of some of these other filters, so I can maybe get back to the internet access article. Technical problems and student achievement gaps. Let's just see if this is going to be on the right track. How do physical digital inequalities persist as technology becomes commonplace? We consider this question using surveys and focus groups with college students in the United States. Found that ownership of cell phones and laptops was nearly universal. However, roughly 20% of respondents had difficulty maintaining access, especially students of lower socioeconomic status and students of color, and the digital divide. Okay, so we know that this article is one that is on topic here. So what do I want? I want to find the actual full text of the article. I go over here and I don't see any link to the PDF. So what I want to do is I want to click on Get It at CSULB. And what that does is it searches our nearly 200 databases and looks for the article in some database other than Communication and Mass Media Complete. And in fact, we have it. The full text is available in a database that there'd be no reason you would actually look in. It just is a container for articles called Sage Premier. So if you click on that, then the article comes up, okay? Now, I would also like to recommend that once you find an article that you think is useful, that you actually email it to yourself as the first thing. And one of the reasons for that is that at least you'll know where you have it. So when you're writing your paper, it doesn't get lost. And the second reason is that you can create a citation, an APA citation that will be emailed to you at the same time. And that's a lifesaver. Now, These citations are not always 100% accurate because they're generated by computers. Let's take a look at what that citation looks like. And this one is not correct. And as I'm sure you recognize, it's not correct because so many words in the title are capitalized, where APA calls for only the first word after a colon, and proper nouns should be capitalized. We didn't find a lot that we like, so I'm going to show you a couple of other tricks in just a moment.